Welcome to RPG Book Club, a podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I'm Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
And today we'll be continuing our playthrough of Legend of Legaia, covering up until we finish the tower. That's where we stopped, right?
Yep.
Yes, Soul.
We stopped at when we finished Soul Tower.
Yes. But before we get to that, there is no war in Bossing Say. How was everybody's last 2 weeks?
Okay, I was going to ask how we're handling the last 2 weeks. There is no war
What are
in
you
Bossing
talking
Say.
about?
Great.
So I've been reading nonfiction books that sort of fall into a self-help category.
Okay.
I am almost finished with one called How to ADHD, which I don't like the cutesy how to noun structure.
Mm-hmm.
But the book's pretty good.
Nice.
Learning about the ways in which my brain happens to be different that makes everything more difficult for no good reason. It's just an arbitrary thing that my brain has that makes life more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fun. Learning about that, learning strategies, and really learning that one reason I have often doubted, do I really have ADHD? Is that I just have been historically very good at finding good strategies and coping mechanisms and being like, oh, I guess not everyone sets 5 alarms at different intervals before every event.
No.
So I get to the event. Sometimes I get there an hour early because I can't. I don't know what time is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm going to arrive on time, but I arrive an hour early. But I do arrive on time.
As someone who uses a combination of transit and walking to get places historically a lot of my adult life, showing up to places way earlier than you're supposed to is a common strategy, because I don't know what the hell is going to happen to me between points A and B. I don't know if the buses are going to run late. I don't know if I'm going to miss my bus and have to walk. So, like, giving myself that flex time is useful, but then I end up getting there early, and I'm just kind of left to be like, well, I get there, I guess I'll just figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that sounds really useful. I'm happy for you. I could probably use a thing like that. I could also probably use a psychiatrist who gives me ADHD medication.
That can also be good.
That's really helpful. Was that book by Jessica McCabe?
Yes.
Okay.
Also has a YouTube channel, I believe, by the same name. I think I watched a couple of the videos a long time ago and was like, I don't really like this style, but I've liked the book.
Nice. I have added it to my Audible queue. And by
Cool.
Audible queue, I of course mean Libro FM, because Jeff Bezos doesn't deserve your money, but your local bookstore does.
Libro FM is cool.
I love
Also,
when I see a random book recommendation and I just go to my library and I'm like, library, please? And the library goes, it'll be here in a couple days. And I go, yay!
Hell yeah.
I miss being in a really expensive, hard to live in city, because the high property taxes and all of that jazz means that the library is funded well, and so that worked really easy in Austin, and it does not work very easy here in Madison. I've requested something like my first week here, and nothing. Still not happening.
Man, I don't live in Austin. I live just outside of Austin. So I get the suburb of Austin library experience, which is fine, but it's not near as good as the Austin library experience. I think maybe I could still get an Austin library card if I tried hard and maybe paid some money, but I don't know.
The middle of nowhere Massachusetts experience is pretty good with my library.
I think if I remember from back in Austin, is that the Austin one is really easy to get into, and it's the satellite ones that are the hard ones to get into. So Austin is like, are you close enough to Austin? Cool. But say the Round Rock Library or the Pflugerville Library are like, do you live in these 4 blocks? Otherwise, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
My 2 weeks have
mhm.
been. I'm not sure if either of you heard, but a video game came out, and I decided to start. Even though I said last episode, I said I have other games on my plate. I need to finish Baldur's Gate 3. I need to finish Persona 4 Golden, and then I ignored those impulses entirely, and I started playing Dragon Age Veilguard. Um, and it is interesting. It is growing on me with time. I have a lot of opinions, but I would want to share those opinions probably in more of like a post show. So I'll just say I've been playing it, and mostly I'm largely enjoying it. It's a fun game. It's eating up my time. Um, and then last night, because I was having a really bad depression day yesterday, not in like sinking and spiraling down into the depths of the abyss, but like in the there's a heavy blanket over my mood, and while I might have good parts of my day, as soon as there's something not actively enriching my day, I sink back down to just being slightly weighted down, which sucks in its own right. I started reading a book that I've had from the library, coincidentally to library talk. That I have a bunch of books in the library because of the job I had that I don't have anymore that I need to read before I take it back. So I started A Clash of Steel by C.B. Lee. It is a retelling of Treasure Island, or a remix of Treasure Island, but told in the South China Sea in the late 1800s, and it's also sapphic. It's lesbian, and I've only just started. I'm only 2 chapters in, which is 50 pages. It's pretty good so far. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a really cool idea. I think more people should take the quote unquote like classics of America and Britain, and then go, okay, but what if we take them as our own and remix them into our cultures? Because yes, please take all of our dumb shit. It shouldn't be ours anymore.
Yeah, so before Mickey Mouse ruined copyright forever, the public domain was like an honor because of that exact reason. It's like, oh, you make it into the public domain, and now all of the different retellings we have of Greek myths, now you get to be the next Greek myth. Isn't that cool? And that's why there's so many cool Wizard of Oz things, is because Wizard of Oz is the newest cool thing in the public domain. And I want every public domain book to just
Agreed.
be remixed constantly.
I am a huge
when you said
proponent
A
of public
Clash of
domain.
Steel, I would 100% thought that was a Song of Ice and Fire book.
You're thinking of A Clash of Kings.
A Clash
That's
of Kings.
I do. I was gonna say I like Clash of Kings. I guess I do like Clash of Kings. I do think it's probably the worst Song of Ice and Fire book, but that's like, it's still a good book. It's still got good stuff, and it introduces my guy Stannis. But you know, don't get me started on Song of Ice and Fire.
Sounds cool.
It's so cool so far.
I can't find it at my thing. I'll have to look for it later. And
It's really making me want to read. It would make me want to go back and certain YouTubers have been nudging me to go back and watch the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, the only 3 movies that exist in that series. And like, I already was wanting that, and this book is making me like really want to go do that.
Nice.
But what about you, Sam?
It looks like a lot of this author's career has been like doing Ben 10 and Minecraft books.
Yeah, I did see that.
And now they've done this cool thing. And I'm sure if you're of a certain age, the Ben 10 books and Minecraft books are also a cool thing.
They also have a gay young adult superhero duology, apparently.
The Psychic Squad.
Yeah.
Cool.
Shout outs to CB Lee holding it down.
Also, great thing about this book, when you open it up, front or back cover, there is a gorgeous map of this area of the South China Sea that is done in a very period time, in a very like Chinese style. It's so cool. It looks gorgeous.
That's dope. As for me, as you can probably hear from all of the nasal quality of my voice, is last last week, the main reason that we didn't have an episode was surprisingly not because of election anxiety, but was because my kids are really sick, and it would just be a lot easier for me to not record and help them. But the problem with helping sick kids is they make you sick, and I've been hit worse out of the whole family, and I've just had a horrible cough since about Tuesday. But I took Tuesday off of work, and then functionally was not working while at work the whole rest of the week, which meant I am almost completely done with my Full Metal Alchemist cross stitch that I'm making for Andy. And so head on over to the Discord, and I'll be putting pictures of it as soon as I'm done in like an hour after we're done recording. So I'm very excited for all of that. But otherwise, I have sat and watched YouTube videos and cross-stitched for about 6 days straight. And that's it.
Cool.
So speaking of the war that's not in Bossing Say, shit's probably going to suck, and we're going to try and not suck. And if you are scared of shit, we have a really nice community that doesn't put up with bullshit. So if you aren't currently in the Discord and you want to come and hang out with people who love you, mutual aid is cool, and we all love you, no matter what.
Agreed.
Speaking of things we love, let's talk about Legend of Legaia.
Now that we've cleared the mist from the Succubus Islands, it's time to get the hell out of Dodge so we can figure out what's going on with Noah's parents, which is all going to happen in the Callisto Kingdom. As many NPCs have told you up to this point, the only way over there was this flying train system, but even now that everyone's back in Octum's ground level, with the mist cleared, the transit system is still down. Or rather, it is for normal people. You're the heroes who saved the day, so you're allowed on anyway. Heading up to the highest point of Octum, you're told what the problem is. While the mist has been cleared up in this area, it is still all over the Callisto Kingdom, so once the ride reaches that airspace, things are going to get messy. You see, the way this transportation system works is that it's basically a hanging aerial tramway, but all the locomotion is done by a dude who wears a seru and turns into a giant spider thing that pulls the gondola himself.
It rules.
It rules so hard.
But obviously, if they hit the mist, that guy gets turned into a seru monster and we're all screwed.
That doesn't rule.
The plan is to get the party halfway there and then to bail before they hit the mist, which should be fine because at that point the train will have enough momentum for the rest of the journey, which is helped along by the fact that from that point on, it's all decreasing elevation. No one has any objection to that, so we get on board the flying seru and head out. As they move over the ocean, our teenage heroes marvel at the landscape outside the window, and Noah is excited to get to Konkrum, where she can finally meet her parents. Gala explains that, when the mist came, there was a war between Konkrum and Sol, and Zopu believed that there was something going on with that war that had to do with the arrival of the mist. Gala also tells us that he can sense a terrible evil within the mist, which, my dude, it ended the world, no duh.
Yeah.
So you know that thing that makes everyone into evil monsters? I think something's pretty sus about that, but that's just a hunch.
Talking to people about the election. Sorry. Suddenly, the seru pulling the gondola stops, and the workers not currently turned into giant spider monsters converge atop the vehicle. It turns out the mist is even stronger than expected, so they're going to have to detach soon. But that should be totally fine. Or, well, it is, up until the seru starts going again and then speeds up, going way too fast, leaving the seru to detach and fall into the ocean while the tram operator jumps in with them. The gondola is set speeding on its way as they all float in the middle of the ocean. The one wearing the seru reverted back to his normal self. They're all okay, and they hope the same for our heroes, because that gondola does not have any brakes.
So I love that they say that they're okay and this is totally fine. And then the button on the scene is the guy's like, I wish the flying Seru could swim. Are they just going to swim
Yes.
halfway across the ocean to get back to the islands?
Apparently, I maybe the ocean isn't actually that big.
Maybe the ocean's not that big.
Or maybe they had some people coming like in a regular boat the slow way, but we needed to go the fast way or something.
Sure enough, the gondola arrives at its destination moving way too fast, and it crashes into the platform, wrecking everything. The entire party is knocked unconscious, and when they awake, they find Kara, the 2-bit thief, waiting for them. She mocks the party for needing a flying tram to get here, but before they can push back against that, a shadow crosses over them all, the flying castle passing overhead, which releases mist down over all the Callisto Kingdom. After we get a good view of the aerial palace, Kara mutters to herself that he took everything from us. It's at this point that Gala asks our favorite rogue a fairly pertinent question. How is she able to move through the mist so safely? She doesn't have a Seru that they can see, so she doesn't get turned into a monster, but she doesn't also have any sort of raw Seru to protect her. She doesn't even know what a raw Seru is, which is fair because, as far as I can tell, almost no one in this world did up until the party started slapping them onto their wrists. But she does have something that she considers her good luck charm. She shows it off, and they all recognize it as a raw Seru egg. Noah asks if they can take the egg from her, which, wow, rude. That is the thing that is keeping her alive, Noah. But Kara laughs, says it's hers, and they can't have it. Then she backflips away, leaving the party to ponder what this could mean. It seems, maybe, Kara might be a nice person after all. Now, while you could head from here straight to the Soul Tower, I went the other possible way and poked around for a while, and I'm glad I did. You see, to the northeast, you find a frozen town, not only filled with Seru monsters, but also so chilled that you cannot open any of the doors to the buildings because they're all frozen stuck. More than that, you find 3 Genesis trees in the northern area of the village. So, of course, the party goes to try and do that thing they do with the Genesis trees, and they really give it their all. Sadly, they're too frozen, unable to be revived, and more than that, none of them have any raw Seru or eggs thereof within them. Noah assumes that Kara took the eggs, which would be a fair assumption if she had known a single thing about them instead of just thinking it was a good luck charm. Near this village, there's also a fishing spot, but that is frozen too. There's also a holy place where Seru are supposed to be born that you can't really get into, and there's a research station that you can't enter unless you have a password. Oh, and there's also a giant wall of ice preventing you from going any further north, which means, with no other choices, it is time to actually head to the Soul Tower. The tower is incredible, a massive edifice of wrought steel and pipes and machinery, built in the middle of what appears to be a black void. Maybe it's a crater? I don't know. As you enter, Gala speculates that it must have been made with the help of Seru, and like the flying tram, it is a sign of pre-mist civilization, which, I don't know, it's just funny to me to hear them talk about it that way when pre-mist means a decade ago. Like, do you all remember?
14, so
Yeah, do you remember all those incredible signs of pre-Trump civilization? Like being able to see a red hat without flinching, or sleeping without mortal dread? I can't either. As they enter the structure, they find stairs going up and down, and their raw Seru tell them that despite the mist being everywhere at the current floor, higher up there are human survivors. If you head down, you'll find an obstruction blocking your path, and a room that tells you must feed the hungry sages in order to remove the blockage. What are the hungry sages? Well, they might have something to do with the non-standard design treasure chests that are hidden throughout the lower levels of the tower, which have wonderful spoils, and if you interact with them afterwards, it says it's a sage's chest that says silence, because they can't do ... Heading up the stairs, the gang approaches a room that has sounds of a monster fighting inside, and they expect for only the monster to come out, but instead emerges a figure in gleaming metal armor, an old man who immediately readies to fight the party on sight. The dude talks in like a fake medieval speak, lots of thous and such, proclaiming that we are Seru monsters and it is time for us to die before his astral sword. The party cuts that out as best they can, making it clear that they're not monsters, they're humans. He apologizes and introduces himself as Gaza, and I'm going to say now, unless someone prompts me, I'm not going to make a single, I don't think that's a thing I'm going to joke about.
No. Free Palestine.
Free Palestine. That's what I'll say. I'll just say Free Palestine. And while I sort of made fun of his speech patterns before, holy shit, his dialogue goes so hard, and I respect the hell out of that. That must have been so fun to write. Before leaving, he looks at Noah and pauses, approaches, and cups her face in his hand, and says the name Mara. Or Mar, not Mara. But then he shakes his head, saying that Mar is dead, and that his eyes must be playing tricks on him. Then he leaves, heading further down into the tower to continue his hunt. Heading up a little further, we find that the mist is heavier than air. It can only cover the first few levels, and past that, people are safe to continue their lives. And live them they do in hedonistic abandon and despair. There is so much, and I mean so much, that is going on in the Soul Tower, and I'm gonna restrict myself to just the plot bits, and we can handle all the optional things in our mem-moms if we want to.
There's a lot here. It's a place.
It is indeed a location.
It is. As you pass by a bar, the party hears Kara shout out something about how someone needs to start acting like a man, which, whoa babe, cool it with the patriarchal expectations. Noah immediately heads inside, so the others do too, and they find Kara confronting a guy who's trying to drink all his problems away. The man, Grantes? I'm gonna go with that? Is basically being told to get his act together, to go back to being the person he was before the mist. Kara has been helping him stay afloat, but she was hoping that with time he'd recover, and he hasn't. She laments all the horrible things she has had to do, demanding to know if he cares, and Grantes apologizes, making it clear that he's grateful. In the course of berating him, Kara says that the fact that he lives off of women makes him no better than a pimp, which leads to a confused conversation among our teenage leads over what a pimp is, when the answer gets boiled down to Noah that it's a bad person. Therefore, Grantes is a bad person, and she hates bad people, so she reacts by roundhouse kicking Grantes into the nearby wall of glasses and drinks. Holy shit, this is so funny, but it's also so fucked up.
Raised in a cave by a wolf.
Indeed. Yep. Noah looks like she's going to continue to beat the crap out of him, but Kara stops her, saying that Grantes isn't bad, she is. If anyone should get hit, it should be Kara. Gala pulls them all out of the situation, and Kara tends to her battered boyfriend? I don't know. Outside, Noah is chastised for trying to butt in with her simple sense of morality, saying that these are adult matters. But Noah counters that adults are human, and she's human, so that division doesn't make any sense. Fascinating philosophical point aside, Gala can't actually figure out how to make Noah understand this, and Kara just leaves without saying a word. That done, you can head all the way up to the roof, where the Byron monks have set up shop. At first, they're not exactly interested in speaking to us, since we have Seru, but after Gala shows off that he can do some awesome martial arts moves, and explains he knows Zopu, they're allowed to talk to the elder, Old D's.
Old D's.
Old D's.
Old D's nuts.
Bumping old D's on my cellular phone.
I wrote in my script, no, I won't make the joke, but I could not help myself. I don't know who I was kidding. When we make it clear that our goal is clearing out the mist, that we're showed the Genesis tree. It's a seedling in a pot. See, 100 years ago, in the Warrior Square, the Genesis tree wilted, and it could only be saved by putting it in this form. According to prophecy, we can take it down to that square and revive it, freeing the tower from the mist. There's only one problem. Someone, somehow, learned of this plan already, even as we're just stepping outside, and that person is Gaza, and he's ready to kick our asses over it. After all, if the mist is cleared, then his endless vengeance quest against all the Seru monsters can't continue, so the obvious solution is to stop us from saving the world and kill us. Boss fight time! He hits very hard, but he's also just an old man in some armor, and it's not too special. But then again, I had the spoon spell, which is so far the best healing spell in the game, which really helped. Please make sure you learn spoon. That's not a joke.
It's so good.
You want the spoons to deal with this guy.
I do.
The only problem with spoon is that it takes a lot of MP, so
100%.
You don't want to use it all the time. Sometimes you still want to use orb.
Mm-hmm. The fact that the best healing spells so far are called orb and spoon is very funny.
Speaking of which, I'm excited for the SGDQ schedule to be coming out this week.
No.
When you win, the party immediately goes to treat Gaz's wounds. But uh-oh, Songi has been watching this whole time, and he steps in through a magic portal to be like, this guy kicked the crap out of you, and I love kicking the crap out of you. I'm gonna take him and make him my buddy. Bye! And then he snatches the old man away. That wasn't concerning at all. Anyway, we have our mission. Get the seedling to the warrior square, revive the tree. But remember, the way underground's blocked. We need to feed the sages. So what does that mean? Well, if you talk to enough people in the tower, you will figure it out. You need to feed each of the 8 sages' chests of food that they like, namely soru bread, which you can buy from the bakery for 6,000 gold each. I hate this.
So you also can get it from all of the mini games if you do hate buying it. However, for some reason, I'm not hurting for cash at all. So I just was like,
and I didn't realize you could get them from the mini games. God damn it!
Yeah, you can use the gambling coins to buy them. I think it's like 50 gambling coins each. It's not a lot of gambling coins.
Yeah,
especially if you cheat on the slots.
Yeah, and so I just bought them and continued on my way, so I didn't have to do any of the things or any grinding or anything else.
Damn you. I had to do it in batches, where I bought as many as I could, went down, fought enough random battles to get me more money, went back up, bought more bread, went back down, used the bread, and back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Maybe you should talk to all of the NPCs again, where they all say, specifically the guy in the bakery is like, if you don't like my prices, then you can go and do mini games.
I missed that bit. And the thing is, I did mini games. I have a bunch of coins. I could have done that. So, you traverse the lower parts of the tower. You feed bread to treasure chests. This is your life now. You only get one life. I hope you're happy with it. Until all 8 are fed, and then you can go to the mechanism, and are met with a holographic recording of a scientist, Dr. Usha, one who anticipated this day would come. He sealed the depths of the tower to protect it against the mist, but doesn't know if he'll be alive by that point. He hopes to meet us one day. End of message. I guess that'll be important later? From there, we can now descend deeper, and we find that there's some excellent loot along the way, as if that makes up for me spending 48,000 gold to clear this hurdle, and reach the warrior square, where we have to do a lever puzzle to get to where the tree goes. You do the puzzle, you get down there, and then a portal opens up, and Songi's smug ass comes through. This time, he won't be the one fighting us. Evidently, he has already fixed up Gaza and given him a Sim Saver to control him. So we have to fight the old geezer again, only now, fuck, he is so hard. I didn't think he was that hard at first, but then I took one turn when I didn't use Spirit, and he did his big hit everyone attack, and 2 members of the party dropped, and a third was almost dead. Casting Spoon every other turn is basically mandatory to survive, and even then, you might need to be a cheating bitch like I am, and occasionally save state scum until he doesn't use his big fuck you move so you can actually hit him. At least he doesn't have that much health compared to some of the other bosses, so the fight doesn't drag on that long.
Yeah, I did manage to beat him on my first try, but it was rough.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have much trouble with him, but my Noah is currently a beast, and
yeah, you've been feeding all of your items this game to Noah. Apparently, I have started doing that, but for most of the game, if it's like, oh, this raises agility, I look at whoever's the lowest agility, and I've raised their agility.
Yeah,
I've been being a good communist.
No, glass cannons. Not. I don't want everybody to be gray. I want everybody to be brightly colored. I want 25500. I don't want 128, 128, 128.
I see. Once defeated, Gaza is dying. Like, for real dying, and laments that he's failed in his mission, the one he swore after the deaths of all he loved, his entire family. Noah wants to help, asking Terra how they can stop his death, when the Raw Saber realizes there is a way they can do that, sort of. To jumpstart the growth of the Genesis tree, they can use Gaza's soul, and if they do, he'll become part of the tree forever while still kind of alive. And they can do this because his soul is pure and earnest, which, like, maybe, but only in the same way Harm from Young Justice's soul is pure. Gaza accepts this fate, and we turn him into a tree, leaving his sword behind, which is now a weapon Vaughn can use. What awaits us in Konkrim? How are we going to get anywhere with the area to the north all frozen? Are you a terrible person if you sell Gaza's sword? We'll find out next time. Maybe.
I think I read somewhere that Gaza's sword is not actually like aspected to Vaughn. So if you try to use it, it's like you're using a weapon for Noah or Gala on Vaughn, even though Vaughn is the one who can equip it. Because why would Vaughn know how to use this giant greatsword?
That makes sense, but also what the hell?
That's cool.
Anyway, let's listen to some music and then do our mem moms.
So, if I recall correctly, Songi says, now he's a super geezer.
Yes,
and
he does!
He sure is.
Songi is so good. Like, all of the Seiru bad guys have been pretty bland, but Songi's reoccurring, like, Power Rangers villain shtick is so good.
It's fantastic. Yeah, not to go on such a tangent that we have to completely change how the podcast is done like Maddie did last time, but the architecture of this tower is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool!
I like it so much. It is not as intricately insane as Lohan from Legend of Dragoon, the one where Maddie went off for 45 minutes on architecture and we decided that we should invent the min-mom section. But I love the fact that, like, yes, you can get to almost everywhere from the center spiral staircase, but there are so many places that, like, don't feel like they should line up if you're thinking of it from the spiral staircase, that like have back doors to each other and stuff like that. It is almost literally, except for the fact that there's mist, so you are getting in battles. It's basically my favorite, the NPC dungeon, when you're trying to feed all the chests. You're trying to just be in a space and figure out what to do, and not necessarily be, I have to go kill the big bad guy at the end. And it's very, very cool and very nice, and I very like it.
I do too.
Yeah, I love the, like, red light district look of all of the outside places.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very cool. And shout outs to Digimon World for the PS1 with all of those road signs right when you get in.
One thing I like is I'm on Gaza's Legaia wiki page, and it says, likes practicing his swordsmanship and writing difficult kanji.
That's really good.
I don't know where that comes from, but I like that he likes to write difficult kanji, especially since real world language wasn't supposed to appear in this game.
Mm-hmm.
What it probably is in the Japanese, because he talks in these and thous. He probably talks in more kanji than most other people, and,
or like archaic
older
kanji.
Yeah, or uses kanji for words that are normally only hiragana. Like kudasai is an easy kanji, but like, every time I see somebody reusing the kanji for kudasai, I'm like, all right, you try hard. But it's probably something similar to that.
Yeah, I said this in the recap, but the localizers has so much fun with this guy's dialogue. It's so good. I would say he's like a fascinating character. I think he's a neat character for this one section of the story. But the concept of like taking that like person on a vengeance quest sort of thing that might drive them to do evil things, like that's an archetype that has been around for who knows how long at this point. But taking that to the direction of, oh no, he heard you're gonna save the world, but saving the world would mildly inconvenience his vengeance quest, so he'll kill you now.
It's so good.
I like his model.
Yeah.
His armor is crazy.
He reminds me a lot of the Lord Blaze model from Wild Arms 2.
Of course, your frame of reference is Wild Arms 2.
I'm pulling it up. Lord Blazer is one of the coolest freaking characters on the PS1. And I'm not biased. Like
You're definitely not.
No, like he's
okay. That's a really cool character. He's
really fucking cool. Like,
listen, suits of armor are extremely cool, and it's not hard to make them cool.
Yeah, they're extremely cool, and especially on the PS1, where making a probably good piece of armor where it's rounded and nice is hard on the PS1. So instead, you get the cool ass fucking spiky badass armor, and I love it. It's very cool.
I like the glowing red cod piece on this character you shared.
Yes.
Weak point for massive damage. So I have to ask both of you, for my moms, did either of you buy a camera stone?
No.
Yes.
In the windmill place, after what we finished last week, there's a dude who wasn't there before, or at least wasn't offering this before, who offers to sell you a camera stone, which is basically a camera, and there are certain NPCs in the game that if you talk to them, they go, oh, is that a camera stone? Yeah, you can take my picture, and you can get pictures of certain NPCs. There's I probably run into, I want to say between like 6 and 10 of them so far, but because of that, I was like, wow, I wonder how much stuff there is for this. I'm going to go back to old places. And I ran into a bunch of fun things. Like if you go back to Rim Elm and talk to the Byron monk there, Gala has a conversation with him about like joining Vaughn on his journey and his status as kind of being an ex-Byron monk at this point. If you go and talk to Maya, if you're like me and you needed the money really bad to buy bread, so you sold the hunting clothes.
Oh, yeah.
To Maya,
I sold the hunting clothes on accident a while back, and I felt really bad, and then, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, hey, where are those hunting clothes? And I was like, I sold them. And she was like, ... Wow, it must be a really hard world out there, or something like that. I was like...
I mean, it is.
It is! But I bring this up because if you go back to talk to her, you can do the camera picture thing with Maya, and she's like very blush, like, oh, you want to take a picture of me? Sure, I guess. And you end up taking 3 of them, and I'm gonna share them with you both.
Oh my god.
She then, the third one is, runs up, and then she's like, sorry I broke your camera stone.
No notes.
She got, like, too embarrassed and had to run up and smash it, because you kept taking pictures of her. Also, speaking of the windmill place, that dude who made the bunker, if you talk around the town now, he's a hero that everyone worships, and he cannot handle it. So he's hiding in his bunker to not have to deal with it. Which, honestly, valid.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's, like... In general, the music in this game has been really good. But that one... There's a track that's come up a couple times. The one I noted it was when you first arrive... and you're talking to Kara and the castle goes overhead, there's like this track that plays that is so gorgeous. I love it. It's so like haunting and melancholy, and it's like, ooh, it gives me shivers.
Yeah, I like the music in this game a lot.
Me too.
I spend a lot of time listening to it sped up because a lot of this game moves pretty slowly.
Mm-hmm. Same.
But I like the music, so I always take time to, when I get to a new place, I spend time not being sped up so I can listen to the music and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Did either of you do the comedy club?
I did not do the comedy club. I did do the dance club.
I didn't do the dance club. Tell me about the dance club, because I didn't do it.
So you go to the dance club, and you talk to the dance master or whatever his name is, Disco Stew. You talk to him, and he's like, "Hey, girl, you look like you have the soul of a dancer or whatever. You should try a dancing minigame." So, Noah gets to take part in a very simple rhythm game, and there's just this fun character of the dance queen who hates Noah, and I don't know, there's not a lot to it. You just do a couple rounds of a rhythm game and then you win prizes. It's fun.
Yay! That sounds fun. I did the Muscle Dome,
Uh-huh.
which is just a simple fight as many of these bad guys as you possibly can in a row sort of thing. But you can only do Vaughn, and between rounds it's in like a boxing ring, and between rounds there's a thing of like him in the corner sitting on a stool, and Noah and Gala being his corner people, like trying to hype him up and help him through. Yeah,
It's great.
it's really good. I went pretty far, but after a certain point of difficulty, it's really hard beating these people with. It's hard beating like bosses from earlier in the game when you just have Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
I love the facial expressions in this game. I'm just
They're
looking at
so good.
The image of Vaughn in the corner with Noah and Gala, and I just love the facial expressions in this game.
With the comedy club, there's a thing where if you head in, everyone there is so bored because again, these people have been trapped in the same like 5 floors of this tower for 10 years with each other, and so at this point they've heard every joke that anyone has, and no one like people just kind of come into the comedy club to waste time and to boo people, and one of the comedy act people there can't find his partner for his double act. And apparently Gala looks just like his partner. So he ropes
Good
Gala
enough.
into being his straight man for him to react to all of his dumb jokes. And it works really well, and everyone thinks Gala's great. And he becomes the star of the comedy club.
Fantastic. So I didn't do the comedy club, but I'm looking through on the LP archive. Is this a screenshot from the game, or is the person being cheeky on their Let's Play?
That is the person being cheeky on the Let's Play.
Okay.
It says 8D, Sam.
I know, but
8D's nuts.
but a era appropriate emoticon would be a sideways emoticon using 8 and D to be a happy smiley face. That is very much of the time, so it could have been. But that's why I was asking, because I was going to comment on the 8D of it being hilarious that that was there.
It's not there. It's not hilarious.
Yeah, I really liked this week. There was a lot of fun stuff to poke around at. Does anybody else have anything else to say before we wrap it up?
I am excited to see what we do next.
Mm-hmm. One thing that has me real excited is on the LP archive, as I was following along, when they got on the train, they were like, and with that we say goodbye to the Succubus Islands, and that's probably the weakest part of the game for me, and I enjoyed the Succubus Islands, so if that's the weakest part, I'm excited to see what all we have left of this game.
I would honestly, I think saying the Succubus Islands is the weakest part of the game. I'm like, if that, I don't know, I'm looking back at the Drake Castle section, and that, I'm like, I don't know, I feel like this was more fun than that. Honestly, and also the Byron Monastery. I like the islands. Islands are fun.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what happens next. And that will do it for the week. If you like what you heard today, head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where you can donate to help support us. If you do, you can get some extra benefits. At $1 a month, the Gadabout tier gets access to our bonus feed, where we have after shows for every episode, as well as bonus seasons of the show that are backer only. Though, now that there's an official translation for Dragon Quest III, it's not Gadabout anymore, it's Goof Off. Should we update it? Or should we keep it Gadabout because it's a better name?
I don't know.
Oh, so in the current translation of Dragon Quest III, it's Goof Off.
Yeah. Which I think it has
Is
been.
Gadabout from the Dragon Warrior days?
I think I think it's either from the Dragon Warrior days or from the Super NES fan translation. I
Let
can't quite
me
remember.
look this up.
Yeah, it's important though. I think it'll say Gadabout because it's just a fun name.
Yes.
At $5 a month, the Warrior tier gets the above, but I also read out their names at the end of every episode like this. Shoutouts to Frosthair, Dragonslayer 19, Floris, Kildranus, Freddy Rodriguez, Aaron524, and JFro Prime. And then at $20 a month, the Luminary tier gets all of the above, plus a one-sentence shoutout to whatever they're passionate about. So shoutouts to El Tantavi, who wants you to check out Aftermath.site, a worker-owned, reader-supported news site covering video games, the internet, and the cultures that surround them. Shoutouts to Vimk, who says, this was pure sentiment, as her mother hadn't been there since Gideon was little and would never go back in it now. It's Claire Time says, for you TTRPG nerds, check out Fabula Ultimate. We're not affiliated with the game, but we just think it's neat. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam.
I have been Bernard, and I was correct to check this because guess what? Sam was wrong. Gadabout was originally localized as Goof Off, not the other way around.
Oh. Makes sense.
And I'm Trish, at least here. Still not legally, but we're working on that.
Yeah. Toodaloo, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I said bye this time as well.
Ha-ha!
Y'all are changing things and I'm scared.
This is not going to be